What's going on, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I'm able to get the highest return on my investment by focusing on all the right things through the way that I journal and review all of my trading. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, for me personally, I track everything. I track everything down from my sleep the night before a trading session all the way to my entry executions and my higher time frame analysis. I think of trading as a sport, and in sports, you have to track everything because what isn't tracked cannot be measured. So if we think of like a football team or a baseball team, coaches are tracking the tendencies of other teams just so they realize and recognize when things are going to come up, so they can plan for it and then attack those issues whenever they do come up. Because once you identify those things, you're able to solve that issue and then have processes and systems in place for when they do arise. Um, Tracking allows you to identify the major problems and then fix those issues. So instead of fixing every problem, you're able to fix that one issue, and that issue will more than likely solve smaller problems. So, for an example, if I am taking paper cut after paper cut, I could be having the right entry model, and that is the entry model that's working for me, but I'm simply just not taking those trades in the correct spots. So, for instance, a couple months back, um, I was taking paper cut after paper cut after paper cut. It was like I think there was a stretch where I took like six losses in a row, and I reviewed my data, and I was able to realize that all of my entry patterns per se were correct, but I was just taking them in the wrong spot. So that in turn led me to being able to study the correct spots, and identify the nuances of the correct spots on the chart to be taking those trades, and then that is what turned the corner for me. And when I was able to create a new path for my trading, and that leads me into journaling your trades. So for me, journaling is such a sacred process because I'm able to track everything from the morning review that I did, from why I was able to like take those setups, what I was looking for, um, my entries, my exits, my emotions. It all starts there because when you track everything and understand your own tendencies, you're able to identify issues, or you're able to fix those problems quicker. So during my trading sessions, I'm constantly writing down my emotions, how I'm feeling, what I'm seeing. I have a template where I like check in with myself every half hour, and then when the day is over and I'm reviewing my trades, I'm being brutally honest with myself. Um, Not in a negative way if it's a red day, but more so like, okay, like this is what you did. You need to work on improving this. So in your reviews, you can put it all out there on paper, and you can get your thoughts out of your head. Because when things are just in your head, they're kind of just like uh, a mess. But when you have it all out on paper, you're able to identify those issues and see what the real root cause is of all your problems. Um, and then also with journaling, like I said, you're able to capture your emotions. Are you trading in fear? Are you revenge trading? Do you see your setups and you're just hesitating? You're able to see your tendencies and how often these things are happening because all of these are out on paper. So you're able to see, do you have any emotional issues, and do you know it, like what is triggering those emotions for them to come up? Like, are you seeing your setup, but then you are hesitating because you have a fear of like losing money? You're able to basically sit down with yourself and have a like deep conversation with yourself and be like, why am I doing this? And then you're able to create plans and attack those issues during your trading session. Then another big part for me during my journaling review process is screenshots of the chart setups that I'm looking at. I think screenshotting and having like a capsule of all the nuances of your system is gold. Um, because once you track all your nuances of your systems, you start to see them over and over again, and you're able to identify when they happen, what kind of market conditions they're in, And you're also able to build discipline and realize how often your system is coming up. Like for me personally, because I review my trades so much, I'm able to understand that my system is really only being presented maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So I know if I'm taking 5 trades in a week or if I'm over trading, then there's a problem because I'm trading more than my system calls for. I don't understand how much my system comes up unless I'm reviewing my trades and reviewing my data at the end of every week, at the end of every month, and things like that. Um, and also, the last thing with journaling your trades, you're able to track your nuances. So it becomes a lot easier to remain disciplined and remain patient for you to wait for your setups to be presented. So, like I said, if I know that my setups are only coming 2 or 3 times a week, and I understand my market conditions and I understand the confirmations that I'm looking for, I'm able to be extremely disciplined and patient because I know exactly what it looks like. So, for example, this is some of my price action reviews that I go over every single day. I write these down every single day, whether I took a trade, whether I didn't. Um, Still in the perspective of what I would have done if I was taking that trade. I track everything from the thesis to the confirmations that I was looking for, and then the key takeaways from that specific trade. So now that I have these to review every single day, I have my tendencies and my nuances that I can look for going into each session. So then that leads me into my weekly reviews. The weekly review is basically for me to really go through all of the things that I wrote down throughout the week, my trades, my thought processes, my emotions. I have all of those tracked throughout the week, and then when the week is over, I go through all of those journal entries, and I start to see like, okay, I was feeling this way this week. I overtraded because of this. I didn't take the setup because of this, but I'm able to do that because I'm tracking everything, and then once I get into my weekly review, I can constantly see the habits and patterns and understand what those issues are for me to create a plan going into the following week, and the things that I need to work on. So, like in my reviews, I'm always asking myself questions like, what setups made me money? What setups lost me the most money? Did I follow my plan? What mistakes did I make? And then I also ask myself, kind of like, do I see myself if I continue to trade like this? Do I see my career growing? Am I regressing? Things like that. So I'm actually going to give away my review template that I do every single week. Um, it goes over everything from P&L performance, win rate, risk management. These are all the things that I go through that I jot down um, myself at the end of every single week. This is a detailed review that I do, so I can read these over going into the new week and understand what my biggest issues are. Where did I excel? What do I need to improve on? Because like I said, if I'm tracking these things, I'm able to figure out what the root cause is of all of my issues, and then really only focus on that specific issue. So that leads me into carryover for the next week. So, in my opinion, learning something without application is useless. So, if I'm learning something about myself, if I'm learning something about my trades, where I need to fix, or like if I see an issue that is coming up and I don't do anything about it, it's useless. Like, to go back to the example of me over trading in the wrong spots, if I see that I'm over trading and then I don't make a plan to try and fix it, and I understand that I'm over trading and I don't make a plan to try and fix it, the issue is not going to get fixed. It's not going to get resolved. So you have to take what you are learning about yourself and carry it into the next trading session. You have to have your main goal in mind for the next trading session, regardless if your P&L is red or green. If you executed on your main goal, then it is a good session. Okay. So let's say I'm going to go back to the trading in the wrong spot example. If you are taking a trade in the correct spot and you wait for your correct confirmations and you still trade the same entry pattern that you have been, um, it would still be a good day for me because I was patient enough to wait for the correct spot in my analysis for me to take a trade. Um, so with that, having a plan and having like that main goal that you want to focus on, that could take a week. It could take a day. It could take a week. It could take a month. It could take a couple months. But I personally focus on that one thing that I need to fix that I think will be that I think is the main like root to all of my problems before I move on to the next one. I'm a sole believer that if you focus on the biggest issue that will fix a lot of problems, that'll be my main focus. And then once that issue is fixed, then I'll move on to the next one. Because it does me no justice by trying to solve a bunch of different issues at the same time when I could just solve this one big one that will fix the rest of those issues. So every single day, I'm always reviewing what my issues are for the day that I need to focus on, or like what my biggest goal is that will fix my issues for the day. And that's my main focus for the day. Whether my P&L is green or red, if I executed on that correctly, that is a good day for me. And surprisingly enough, ever since I started doing these things, my trading has like taken a turn for like the great. Like I've reached a new level in my trading. I'm able to fix my issues quicker, and then I'm also able to just like build processes and systems that will allow me to continue to excel in my trading career. Um, I will be giving away my template for free for this for my weekly review. I also have other templates that I do plan on giving away further down the line, but I really do hope you guys take this video serious about tracking your every move with trading and just like over obsessing about the minute details in all of your systems, because I do believe when you do track things like this, you're able to figure out like what your root cause is and then move on accordingly to how you're going to be able to create a plan to attack that problem. um, when you're able to attack these problems, patience gets better, discipline gets better. You understand your system more, all the nuances of these things, and you're not guessing as much. But overall, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and take something from it. And I will talk to you guys next time.